Danny Webster, Las Vegas Review-Journal. Bruce, maybe not a fast start, but how did you like the way that the team kind of progressed as the game went along and eventually took over?
Well, obviously we finished well. Working backwards, third period was very good, I thought. In the second, we did some good things. And the first was just, it looked like some guys hadn't played. And probably the same on their side. Not a lot going on. At the end of the day, we weren't bad like LA, where we were chasing the game. It was just kind of neutral. And I thought we had the better chances, even though there weren't that many. I think we got in a few times. They had a nice ozone seam pass that we talked about that they do well. But other than that, I don't think Hilly had much to do. And then as the game went on, we started to get a feel for it. Started making a few more plays, got through the neutral zone with some speed. D got involved. So a lot of good things that way.
Well, Chris, Willie, Jesse.
Hey, Bruce. Chris Chapman, Fox Sports Las Vegas. Tanner Lazinski sets up another goal tonight. I know you've said in the past for younger guys, the hardest thing is finding that consistency. At what point do you feel confident that a guy like him can be a consistent player in the NHL?
Well, I wouldn't put him in the young player category, right? I think he's 27, so he's more mid that's been around it, right? In Philly, he probably went through that. So he's been through the process of what it takes. He's been sent down. He played a lot of 1 year, maybe didn't dress every day. So he's been through that process of probably been told, hey, this is what you need to do to stick around, right? So it's not the first time he's kind of heard, hey, offensively you've done a good job in, college, USHL, and then on to the American League. Here sometimes that dries up because of the people in front of you, so let's make sure we take care of other areas. So again, that's what is probably in his head to a certain extent, yet he's getting a chance to play with a Mark Stone and a Pav, right, which is in his wheelhouse, so to speak. So good for him to take advantage of those situations, but then still play well when he's with guys that are, maybe if he plays with a Ronberg, that's more of a straight line north-south. So that's what he's going to have to figure out. And so far he has. He's done a good job. He's got a real strong stick, a good nose for the game, good head for the game. Pace keeping up, and when you're checking in your own end will be the challenge for him. We're going to keep evaluating that, see how he does. But I think he's a good add to our organization. It's a very small sample size, and he's helped us in preseason. I don't know on October 9th how it'll play out, but just looking at him now and knowing there's a guy down there that can play with high-end offensive players in the middle of the ice is a good thing.
Willie.
Bruce, Willie Ramirez for the Hockey News. When you think back to the start of training camp, a few practices, now halfway through the preseason, the little details. Victor said that, as far as the progression that you asked of this team, Keegan said finding different ways to score. What are you pleased with that you've seen to this point that you asked of them at the start?
Well, we're not all over the place defensively. We're organized coming back into our end. We're organized in the D zone. So guys, the new players, we just talked about one of them, are picking up how we want to play. Our pace every game has gotten a little better as it's gone along. So that's important because guys haven't played. So that's what you want to see them get more and more comfortable. We saw that with Jack tonight, his line as the game went on. The different ways offensively, we're looking for some ozone play. Playoffs, the rush game sometimes dries up. We get one off the rush tonight, 4-on-4, and Keegan scores one off the rush. But look at the last goal by Barbashev, nice play. The other one's a second effort, forecheck reload that Pav scores. So the other night in San Jose, we had an ozone goal that we recovered a puck. So we want to make sure we're building our offensive game there too, right? 3 prongs. You got your rush game, you got your power play, and you got your ozone play. We want to make sure we're getting some. That was what might be what he's referring to, because we've put some emphasis on that in practice. The offensive side of the game that we want to get better, what we just talked about. We're doing it, maybe a little more predictable support without taking away their creativity. So, as I said, we'll keep evaluating that, see how it goes, but I like what I've seen in that area so far. We're not a one and done. We've kind of been in there and got some sustained pressure, and that's one of the things on that side of the puck we want to keep building on.
Jesse, then back to Danny.
Hi, Bruce. Jesse Granger at The Athletic. You got a few looks on the power play tonight. What did you think about the way they executed?
The first period was like our game, right? We weren't crisp. We weren't executing. Pucks are bouncing over our stick. you always have to outwork the other the four guys in the ice. It always starts there. Five guys have to outwork four so you can get the puck and get it set up in position. So I think after a couple of times it looked like it might get going, but, we got a shot blocked or didn't make the last play. And then in the goal we did score, we got a couple of looks, got a puck back. And what I liked is Jack, before we scored, spun out of a pressure and just skated to open space. And we need to do that a little more often, where we use our skill to get away from some tough situations so we can keep possession and play. Not always pass through someone to do that. We saw some of that in the first period, right? We're going all right, and all of a sudden we try to make a play that we could probably use our feet and be better. So it's a mindset we have to get better at. And sure enough, now we get another chance at it and we score. We hit the net. Like, that's the other thing, right? You got to hit the net. So I like that part of the power play. I will say we haven't spent a ton of time on it, only because each day we're not sure how what unit's going to, how they're going to play together. And I think when you see our lineup next week, especially late in the week, then we should look better on it, because we'll have put more time and effort into it and practiced it more with regularity and units.
Bruce, going back to the power play, you mentioned this morning about there might still be options on the second unit, but I think this is probably the first time we've seen Dorofeyev on the power play. How did you think he looked on that second unit, and do you think he's probably one of those viable options?
Yeah, he is, for sure. He can shoot the puck. He's got a good one-timer. I mean, when he first came up, I do remember a few years ago, he was down by the goal line. We used him. Might have been when he was hurt he played with Riley, I think, and Carly. So someone was hurt. We used him down. I remember it might have been Columbus, or from the goal line. He scored some goals, like this little spin moves around the front of the net. We had him because he's a bigger body and good hands, kind of like the goal he scored tonight, right? He's right there. And then against Minnesota, I remember that trip. So he has the ability to do it. It's kind of in line behind some other people. So now he's moving up that line. And the second unit, I talked about the first one we're hoping to put together this morning. There's Carlson who's going to anchor that. You need a face-off guy and a guy that I think could be really good at. Who's it? Is it Holtz? Is it Dorofeyev? Is it 2D? Is it four forwards with Nick Waz and net presence? So those are essentially the guys that will probably compete for that time. And he's absolutely in there. We expect him to score some goals this year, pick up the slack there and keep advancing his game. Well, those guys need power play time to help them with that. So that's something we've got to be mindful of. And he's definitely in that mix. I won't put him on it right now because we're still sorting through, but he's going to get some opportunities for sure.